Hey everybody, welcome back to CAF's Heroes of Sport. My name is Bob Babbitt, and every week we get to meet some of those amazing challenged athletes on the planet. This week, we get to chat with three amazing women. We've got Beth Wallace, who's the mother of 3.5-year-old off-road superstar Teddy. We've got Tish Scholick, the co-founder and CEO at Grit. And we've got Jennifer Skisick, the director of CAF-Idaho. And I'd love to start with Beth. Beth, talk a little bit about your little guy, Teddy, and arthrogryposis and how that affected him.
Yeah, so Teddy is a twin. I have Teddy and Freddie, and Teddy got the short end of the stick in the womb and didn't quite have enough room to grow. And he has what's called arthrogryposis, and it affects all of his joints throughout his body. When he was born, all of his joints were in the wrong place. So from about a week, 8 days old, I think, he started physical therapy. Yeah. And they've done so much to bring him to where he looks completely normal now. He didn't look normal when he was born.
How many surgeries has Teddy had?
He's had 9 surgeries.
Oh my God.
On his.
And in terms of playing and being a kid, how much of a struggle has that been for Teddy?
Well, he's pretty playful and quite determined, but it's definitely very different. He can't do the same things as his brothers. He needs a lot of help. We have to help him get on and off things. His main form of getting around is rolling, and he's just now learning to stand by himself and balance. And we are hopeful that he will walk by himself at some point.
So at some point, you connected with Jen over at CAF-Idaho. When did that happen?
Do you want to get going?
No.
No? Okay. We got connected with Jen through our physical therapist. Ted's been seeing for the last 3.5 years. I can't remember what it was. 2019, I think.
Yeah, it was
June of 2019, I've been told by my husband. We went to the X Games down at the skate park here in Boise. And that was our first introduction to what CAF was doing. And Ted got to try out a little wheelchair. Ted didn't even have a wheelchair. He was just 2 at that point. But then we began to join in with some of the clinics and just be around the community and see what was possible for him.
How important was that for you, seeing other kids and meeting other parents who were dealing with what similar things that you were dealing with?
It was really eye-opening. I had no idea that there were other children like Ted, and there are a lot of other children like Ted. It was really encouraging to see other little boys and girls in wheelchairs and with the AFOs on, and for Ted to say, hey, look, there's another, he's got the same thing as you, and he's got the same thing as you.
In terms of other sports and sports as a family, it sounds like you guys are pretty active and do a lot of different sports.
Yeah, maybe not so many sports, but we love to be out. We love to hike in the mountains. We backpack, camp, kayak, paddleboard, snowboard. All the things.
So Jen, let's talk about when you met Teddy and you met Teddy and Beth. You had known about the grit chair, or had you known about the grit chair at that point, the freedom chair?
No, we didn't. And honestly, Bob, it was the conversation was more just come out and see our community, right? Yeah. Like, let's just get Teddy seeing, just like you said, Beth, let's get him seeing other kids and meet other families and meet adults that have lived full lives and you do all kinds of crazy things. And let's just start having that dialogue. And we actually at CAF-Idaho got introduced to grit through Kevin Holtree. So he's one of our favorite grantees here in Idaho. And he was the first to ask through our grant program for a grit chair. And that really opened my eyes to all of the capability of the equipment and all the different ways that it's used from working out to getting off road to having access to all of the off-road sports that we do, including Spartans and mountain biking and now skiing. This chair is just amazing piece of equipment. And so, yeah, I would say when we first met Teddy, we didn't see grit coming. You know?
And Tish, let's talk a little bit about the background. Here you are, you went to MIT, and what led to the idea like we need to create something to get challenged athletes who are wheelchair bound off-road and give them independence?
Yeah, Bob. So I was in a class actually my freshman year at MIT, sort of an introductory seminar that was teaching some basic engineering principles, basically through wheelchairs, looking at how forces are transmitted, looking at biomechanics, looking at load distribution, sort of my first taste of engineering as a little freshman. And ultimately, learned so much about the inefficiencies of wheelchair propulsion, how much energy is lost when you're trying to push yourself with a regular push rim chair that may be great for, indoors and in a classroom or in an office. But if you want to really be pushing yourself outdoors on rougher terrain, it's exhausting. And so we were able to actually use some pretty cool data that the Air Force had put together a couple decades ago and looked into the biomechanics of where you could really get that peak pushing force. And we came up with this lever system that we put together using some pretty simple bicycle parts. So we can have a full chair that's easy to repair, easy to use, and kind of customizable beyond that.
So it's one thing to have a concept, but to get the funding you need to create a company. And a lot of people are like, well, if people aren't going off road, maybe there's not really a need for this. When did you realize that there was a need?
Yeah. So, I mean, kind of the pivot from classroom project and research project into like real life, real world product underneath people taking them on adventures. It took us several years from kind of the business side of building the case and building the capital so we could actually start manufacturing these. And then really on the product side, working really closely with our end users. So working with people who were going to actually be using the product as well as, their partners, their caregivers, their families, because you're going out for a hike. Maybe you're going out by yourself, but most likely you're going out with the rest of the gang, with the rest of the family. And so it's got to fit in the trunk with the rest of your gear. Working with physical therapists who helped us identify kind of the key positioning and adjustability so that we could get as many people out there while still keeping our supply chain really robust so that we could keep people going as quickly as possible.
So here you are with your building success and people are going off road. And then Jen and I think Patrick from CAF basically said, hey, we love what you're doing with the Freedom Chair. This grit chair is spectacular. Can you make one for a 3-year-old?
Yep. Yeah. So Jen called my partner Mike and told us about Teddy. Told us about all of the things that he wanted to do that he wasn't able to do. And honestly, it's something we've been wanting to do for a while, but we were kind of missing two pieces. One was we didn't really have a strong enough connection with kids who would be using the product to get the feedback we really needed to make the design appropriate for that use case. And we needed more insight from the physical therapy community. And that was especially where Jen came in and how we needed to make this most functional for kids. Again, what needed to be adjustable, we needed to offer in terms of sizing, and really like what kids were going to be doing with this. Because as Jen mentioned, we've got sort of customers all over the country who are doing Spartan races and going to the beach, and we weren't sure what kids wanted to do with it and what families wanted to do with it. And it's been so rewarding over the past few months, being able to have those conversations and now being able to actually see it and to actually see Teddy cruising around in it. It's absolutely the best part of what we do.
So Jen, last Saturday, you guys are doing a clinic in Idaho and setting up this surprise. Sometimes setting up a surprise is a little overwhelming because you've got Paralympian Muffy Davis, the family doesn't know what's happening. You're surprising a 3.5-year-old with something he's never really seen before that's built for him. Talk a little bit about setting that up and the reaction to it.
Yeah, you're right. Surprises are hard, and sometimes you want to spoil them, right? Because you're so excited.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, we were committed, and the really cool part is that we knew we were going to have every grit rider in different types of chairs. So the whole fleet of grit was there because we had people in the clinic that believe in this equipment and use it when they're outside. So yeah, it was really welcoming Teddy to now beyond the CAF family, but to the grit family, and letting him know that he had mentors right there, right behind him, that were going to teach him how to push that chair, that we're going to go on hikes with him in the future. I mean, just really an exciting time of, I felt like even just a year ago, you know, Beth shared, Teddy wasn't even in his own chair. Right. And so now really starting to visualize what that looks like. And he was like inspecting it. Tish, he was checking out your design. I mean, he was picking at it and really looking at the back of it. He didn't even get in the chair for a little while because I think he was making sure that he approved of the design. But yeah, and then once he started rolling, you know, once those kids are on the snow, it's amazing. That equipment is made for it versus our everyday chairs that just get bogged down in that softer surface. So it was a great day. And it was funny because Teddy ended up opting out of skiing for the whole weekend, right? I don't think I saw him in a bucket, but he chose to grit his way through the clinic, which, you know, that's perfect. That's exactly what you let 3-year-olds decide how they're going to do it.
And Beth, talk a little bit about the family reaction when you saw Teddy in this brand new mini grit, this grid chair specifically for him.
Yeah, I cried. There were definitely tears and tears of joy just to see how little it was. The first chair that we tried out for him was the child size, the current child size, and all 3 of them fit in it. And we're rolling around the backyard. So to see that it was just perfect, to see the size, and yeah, it's just so special.
I love it. And Dad's there too.
Yeah, hello.
How was that experience, Dad?
It was just amazing. I think just what, as Jen alluded to, having that community there around, and the others that have gone before, and that welcoming into the grit family, and that you've got people that, you know, are there behind you. And that's just one of it's so encouraging. And I know for him I think it was a little overwhelming, all the cameras and people there, but he's just that, as he's getting warmed up to it, and just getting to feel that he's part of something bigger, and there's people behind him and alongside of him for the journey that's ahead of him.
So Beth, as you guys both as parents of a child with a challenge, you've got 4 kids, and one, Teddy, is a little different. How do you balance that? How do you make sure that Teddy doesn't feel left out, and at the same time that the other kids feel that, you know, we're everybody's treated the same?
I don't think we quite figured that out yet.
That's
I think it comes in waves. I mean, Ted definitely gets a little more attention sometimes, and he has to be helped. But we're also, I think, a big part of is encouraging his brothers to play games where he can be involved, and to think of getting them to be creative. What can Teddy do? Okay, so how are you going to play that? And getting him involved with their games, but also then letting them play the games that they can play, and
yes.
It depends on the day and the weather and the mood and whether they've napped.
And Beth, for you, when we talk about Teddy is challenged, you got 5 boys, right? 5 boys to 1 woman. That's you're outnumbered.
I am outnumbered.
True enough.
Jen, you've basically created CAF-Idaho, and you saw the need for something special up there in terms of the clinics that you're doing. Have you been surprised at the number of people who have responded to what you're offering at CAF-Idaho?
It's fantastic, Bob. Honestly, I thought that first year that we were going to potentially make a little splash and it was a big splash. And now we're swimming, and the families that are part of this and the adults, it truly has become this thing that it's almost like mini reunions every time we get together.
Yeah.
And we're just adding more people every single time. Like I said, we were in Sun Valley, and we thought, oh, between it being a holiday weekend and all of the concerns and travel and everything, we had 29 people, and we were sitting there trying to figure out how to do this with wisdom and be very intentional and all of the things. So it's fantastic. I mean, it's what it's supposed to be, and everything that we dreamed it would turn into. And now it's just looking forward, because really the goals that we set for year 4 and 5 are happening in year 2. And we're just trying to keep up. But we really feel like it's our responsibility to start matching up what our athletes need for the environment. And we call it our playground, right? Idaho is just a giant playground. And so we need to make sure that we have equipment that matches the talent level and the desires of the people that we're serving. And Grit's an amazing partner. We came with this wild concept, and they were like, sure, yeah, that sounds great. I mean, that was the end of the conversation. And I thought, well, I don't know what's going to happen now. And then, they designed this amazing chair.
So when you're out there Saturday, and it's so cool when everything happens at hyperspeed, right? You come up with a concept, talk to Tish, his team, and they come up with something, and then you're there last Saturday watching this come to fruition in front of your very eyes. I mean, this is something that could have taken years and years, but basically because Tish and her team were so receptive and you guys knew what you wanted. When you watched Teddy going in the Grit Freedom Chair, what was going through your mind?
It actually hit me before I was talking to you, Sam. And it just finally hit me of just, we are impacting kids far beyond when we could have 8 months ago, right? We're letting kids learn that the outdoors are really, really fun. Instead of, I'm on a sidewalk and when I roll up to grass, I have to stop my chair. And I can't go explore that anymore because my chair can't get me there, or that mulch, or whatever that surface is that used to stop kids in their chairs. That doesn't stop Teddy anymore. And so all of the kids we get to continue to get these chairs in the hands of are going to be able to go explore and play and be kids. And who knows what sports that's going to open up for them, right? Because it's just going to let them fall in love with being outside. And we get to do that at 3 instead of 12 or 13, or whenever they decided that they were big enough to fit in a certain piece of equipment. That barrier's gone, and that it hit me. I mean, I was a blubbery mess talking to Sam, and luckily you were the only one to see it. But yeah, it's the right thing. It's really good.
So Tish, I'm sure when you're fundraising to create your company and not quite sure what's going to happen, and then this happens and it becomes a national story with Teddy's story going out on the wires and everybody picking it up. How does that make you feel, knowing that what you're doing is making such a difference?
I mean, this is living the dream. I think very few engineers get to design something that has so much impact, and let alone have the opportunity to actually see firsthand and experience firsthand the impact it's having, right? It's one thing to, we love all of our customers, we love all of our riders and all of the adventures they go on, but it's totally different for me personally to actually connect with Teddy and with you, with the parents, and with everybody in the community to really understand how transformative it is, right? And it's like the moments like this that help us persevere through the more challenging times in any sort of endeavor. So, I mean, I think we'd like to think that we have grit, and we certainly know that Teddy has grit, and that the whole CAF community does. And we're so thrilled to be part of this experience.
Love it. Hey, Beth and Sam, how important has CAF been this last year or so with you guys and Teddy?
Really, really important. We have been so encouraged. They have supported us and embraced us. And it's not just Teddy, they've embraced us as a family. They let the other boys join in. And yeah, it's meant a lot to us.
Love it.
Well, I was just going to say, I think it would be really easy to feel alone without having a community to do this with, you know. And I mean, we don't have a lot of other friends that have children with disabilities, but having that community there, and I mean, Jen's always got a smile and always encouraging, and just it's such a blessing.
I love it. Beth and Sam and Jen and Tish, thank you for all you do. It's great to have all of you as part of our CAF family. Our family's getting bigger every day. Can't wait to see where Teddy goes. Thank you all for being with us on CAF Heroes of Sport. Really, really appreciate all the amazing support, you guys. Have a great one.